Here for media type, this is where we choose what color shirt we're doing, or if we're doing rigid goods. We have white chosen. It does not match with our layer type. And when I click on this, I've got my little caution sign there as well. That's telling me that I can choose any one of these other options with that color layer auto mask. Now the cautions have gone and we're good. For generate true black or generate pure black, this deals with the way that the CMYK color process works. Now, generate pure black means that if it sees a color and it's black, and let's say it's 99% black, but yet it's got a little percentage of magenta in it, a little percentage of yellow, a little percentage of cyan, if we say yes, then it's only going to print black ink. Now, I find that if I go into my graphic program and I have a black and I've gone in and made it as dark as I can by making it 100% black, also 100% cyan, 100% magenta, 100% yellow, I'm essentially putting more ink down onto the surface. This is really good for a white t-shirt to help you get an even darker black. Most of the time you're going to want to leave that generate pure black at no, so you can get more ink down and get a darker black. For true spot colors, this is dealing with any graphic image you have that the colors are in fact true Pantone colors. If you choose this option and say yes, then it's going to color match real well with the Pantone colors that are used. Now, a lot of times the images that you get, whether it's going to be from your customer, things that they've brought you, or maybe things that you've created, and you've chosen colors that aren't Pantone colors or true Pantone colors, you probably won't use this feature a lot unless you really know about color matching and Pantones. Print direction, this is where we talk about the fact that the print head has to go back and forth to lay down ink. When we're in bidirectional mode, the print head prints as it moves to the left, and it prints ink again as it moves to the right. This is a faster way of printing. The other way is unidirectional. This means that the print head, as it moves to the left, is printing ink, but then as it returns, it's not. This method has better quality. You have a little bit more forgiveness in the gap from the print head to the surface of the shirt. When we use bidirectional, we need to make sure that our gap, our distance, is exactly what it needs to be. If it's too close to the print head or too far from the print head, we get what I call bidirectional blur. You get a ghost image. That means horizontally you may see where you should have a thin vertical line, you probably see two little lines close to each other. If you use unidirectional, it'll take that away. Now down here we have white ink resolution. Like I mentioned before, this is controlled by things like DPI. Now in some of the versions of the software we may say things like light density, medium density, or heavy density. Here in the kiosk we say DPI like we do with the color. Now as we know before, we chose 720 for our color. So if we said same as color, that's going to be 720. Or we can specifically specify 720 DPI. Now with white ink, especially going down on a black shirt or a dark shirt or even a medium color shirt like a blue or a red, a lot of times 720 is not going to be enough white coverage to give you the kind of underbase that you need. If you're trying to get a really solid bright white underbase down, 720 may not do it. Now you may use 720 with a couple of passes. You could always go back up to your passes here and try 2 passes of 720 or something like that. If you want to try and get it done in one pass, you really need to use this 1440 DPI. Now in the other versions that do light, medium, and heavy, they'll actually take you up as high as a 2880 DPI. That would be your heavy setting. So in example, the HM1 version, you'll want to choose medium density. If you choose high density and you put too much white ink down, then when the color ink comes across that, you're going to end up having a wet layer of white ink and then color ink hitting that, and it's going to mix with the white ink, it's going to pool, it's going to splotch. It could even just all around affect the color. It could make it lighter, it could wash it out. Now we have here black ink underbase behavior. Now our choices here, this is basically saying what do we want to do with black in an image. Now for example, on a black t-shirt where we don't want black ink or underbase to print, we actually want the black of the shirt to show through, we use this no underbase, no black ink. And what that means is wherever there's black in the image, when it does its white underbase, it's not going to put any ink down. It's going to let the black of the shirt show through. And it's also not going to put any black ink down during the color pass either, again allowing the black of the shirt to be what's black in the image. Now in examples of printing on shirts like blue shirts and red shirts, we also can tell it where it's black, we don't want to have any underbase put down. Sometimes underbase with black ink on top of it may tend to look a little on the gray side. We can choose this no underbase but use black ink, and that'll work real well for getting black ink to soak right into the shirt and not needing to use white underbase. This will also help cut down on the amount of white ink you're using and to try and help cut down on the cost of your white ink. And then finally your last one here is light underbase, use black ink. This will actually put a light coat of underbase down, which of course like on a black shirt or a dark color shirt it's going to end up looking like gray or a light version of the color of the shirt. And then it's going to cover it up with black ink. There may be times where you want to use this, but most of the time I find default or no underbase, no black ink, or for example on color shirts, no underbase and use the black ink. These tend to work better. Now here we have auto white highlight threshold. Now before, when I was talking about layer types and I talked about this white highlight layer, this again is just that, it's a highlight layer. This is just a way of doing it automatically where it prints during the color pass. Your setting is either turning it off or choosing a percentage. Now we really don't need to go as high as 28%. We can keep ourselves in a percentage of 1, 2, 3, 4. I personally never go much higher than 6 or 7. What this is saying is that whenever it sees white in an image, it may be 100% white, or it may just be 99 or 98% white, but for the most part it's white, and to the human eye we want to see it as white. And when that color pass comes along and puts down some white highlights, we want this to get hit with it as well. So for example, if everything from 97% white and up, we would want to choose something like a 3 or a 4%. That means it's finding those high areas of white. Now for example, if we did choose something low like a 24%, that means that we're putting white ink down in areas where we probably don't want it. It could be light shades of blue, light shades of red, things that we need to see the color, and if we hit it with white ink, we're just going to wash it out and it probably won't look right. So we'll keep this set low at 4%. And last we have step and repeat. Now the step and repeat was developed for our wide format printers to allow us one printing area that had multiple shirts put down, so that you can print on one shirt here, one shirt there, and the printer keeps moving down. The print head is moving in rows, and it's printing 2 shirts at a time, moves down to the next one, printing 2 shirts at a time. We decided we'd go ahead and include this feature in all the versions of the RIP software. This can also be used for printing things like non-textiles. If we're printing 4-inch tiles, we can lay down 3 tiles in a row, 3 rows. We have 9 tiles there. Now the way this works, you have to actually set this up in the RIP software, which we'll cover a little bit later on. You're going to assign numbers to each of the different little template areas we've created. If If you're printing the same thing on all of those 9 tiles, then you'd choose 1. And in your template editor later, we'll cover that you've showed all those 9 little spaces get the label of 1. This is how it knows to put the same image in all 9 spots. Now we can go ahead and click OK. We can say apply and click OK. Now because we did all of this here under printers and faxes, this is the default that we've just set. So whenever we actually go through the printing process, this is what's going to come up. Now, of course, like I showed you with printer features, this is going to change from job to job depending on what color shirt you're printing on, what type of shirt. You will go in and change these settings quite regularly. I do want to say one more little thing about this while we're here in printers and faxes. If you want to see how the actual workflow of the DTG RIP software works, you can go to the manual and see a complete coverage. But basically the way that it works is that when you print from your graphic program, instead of choosing a printer, you choose this DTG kiosk with white ink. Think of that as your virtual printer. Now, that's where it will be sent and processed, and when it's done, it will actually send it to the output queue. The output queue is what's going to take care of actually sending this file on to the DTG printer.